All right, guys, welcome back to another brief episode of Midwest Family Outdoor Adventures. Like I talked about if you caught our deer hunting episode, if you haven't, go check that one out first. We are processing our deer today. Like we've talked about episodes, we're normal people. We have full-time jobs. This isn't something that we do professionally, but we found with the increase in cost for butchering recently that, and also to learn the skill, about 5-6 years ago, we started processing all of our own deer. I didn't include the process where we broke the deer down, where we caped it in the barn, corded it out and cut the meat into nice bins like this to get ready for grinding. If you do want to learn how to do that process, the bearded butchers are amazing. They've done a great job breaking down, and that's what they do professionally, how to break down a deer, how to cape a deer. I'll include a link to that video in the description of this video below so you guys can see that process as well. But today we're going to be grinding deer meat, which is one of the most common things people do to use their meat. Other than cutting out the roasts or the back straps for steaks, ground meat is a great utilization. You can use it for tacos, spaghetti, meatballs. The world is your oyster with that. Some people will grind it straight venison, and then that's great. Venison is an extremely lean, high-protein meat, but what it lacks is a little bit of fat content. So if you want to make breakfast sausage or you're wanting to make spaghetti or taco meat, it's nice to maybe have a little bit of fat content in there. So again, I've done straight venison, I've ground venison with pork fat, we've done venison with ground beef to kind of add some of that fat in there, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We have a little over 100 pounds of cubed venison here today that we'll grind, and then in our fridge back there we do have 30 pounds of 80-20 ground chuck that we'll mix in, so that'll add extra meat to our pile and also bring in that fat content that we want for cooking. Now it's really important, again, we're not a professional shop, but we did want to sanitize everything. If you're wondering where I got this grinder, there are so many good grinders you can get nowadays, but as a group, we went in and bought, this is a Lem Big Bite. It's the one-horse version. This has worked great. Like I said, this is our 5th or 6th season. This is done probably in the low 20s amount of deer, plus multiple different pigs have been ground through this when some of our friends and family raise pigs. It's good to have a scale just so you can kind of get your ratios correct if you're adding meat. And again, you know, we're not quite up to code. Ice fishing season's right around the corner, and we decided to do a bait station this year. So this is loaded with minnows, but we do have, I don't know, about a 2.5-foot gap here. So we're going to call that code for today and kind of keep the minnows out of the production area. But that's kind of an explanation of what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll show you what we do. All right, guys, so this is the first step in the process. You really want to make sure your meat is semi-frozen. At least I recommend that. When you're running it through the grinder like this, the semi-frozen meat is really what's going to help keep things cool, the mechanism's cool inside the grinder, and also I feel like it grinds better and it doesn't get as soupy, I'll call it. So part of that, though, is we get a nice meat cleaver. So again, it's partially frozen. Like this is, I'll show that here. This is a partially frozen chunk right here. Then what you want to do is have Randy come on over here and show you. Want to flip that on for me, Kyle? This is the grinding process. So this is the little plunger. We're going to come out just like that. And this is the hopper here. You can just start dropping chunks in there. Okay, so we're just going to keep chunks going. And you want to keep this full of meat is the goal, because we want to make sure that it doesn't get too warm. And by warm, I mean the actual grinding machine that gets too warm. So we're going to grind all this meat up is going to be our first process right now. And once we have it ground once, we're going to weigh it out. We'll show you guys that process about how we know how much venison we have, so we know what hamburger ratio to do with the pieces of venison. But this is really it, folks. It's not rocket science. You just run it through, and we'll show you that process. So this is grind number 1. We're going to grind this through twice. We have our coarse ground blade in here. There's a fine ground blade. We're going to coarse grind it And then we're gonna mix it with beef, like we talked about earlier. And then we're gonna probably grind it again, just so that it's a little bit more fine ground with our fine ground blade. But I'll show you guys that when we get to that process. Like you can see, guys, here, there's no special degree needed or anything. This is all naturally harvested. We're just doing it on a Saturday for a few hours here in our garage. And this should yield 100 pounds plus of ground meat. So we are very thankful for these deer. Okay guys, so next step of the process that we had talked about is, again, if you're a traditionalist or purist, close your eyes, because we're gonna use a little bit of ground chuck here for two reasons, like I talked at the beginning. One, to help with some fat content. Some of the people are newer to eating venison within the past few years and have really enjoyed some of the extra cut-in meat. Again, pork fat, we're gonna use ground beef fat. We got from our butcher here these 10-pound chucks of just ground chuck. It's 80-20. So the mixture eventually that we're gonna be doing here, I'm not a mathematician, but 75-25% ratio, being 75% ground venison, 25% ground chuck. Do it however you want, guys. There's no right or wrong way. Again, some guys say, why do you hunt if you're not going to use only venison? We do. We love it. It's delicious. This will last us till next season. So again, you can see how much that ground meat goes through. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to switch out the coarse ground blade to this finer ground blade that we have right here. And what that's going to do is we mix in the ground beef with it, is really going to kind of get this a second more fine ground process. And then also, once that's done, we'll have it all mixed with the beef. We're going to run it through the fine grinder again, actually into the stuffing bag, and we'll show you guys that. Let's get back to it. So right now, guys, what we're doing is we're just kind of, because to get the ratio, we're just going to try to visually even out these bins with meat. We'll weigh them, and then we'll know exactly what's in each bin and how much we need to add for the beef. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. So guys, this is just a cheap but useful LEMS scale. We got it at Fleet Farm. So Kyle, we're looking at, with the weight of the bin, which we're just going to keep, we're at 24.5 pounds, just under. Okay.
Just as a baseline, let's see what this one is.
Okay.
Dude.
Dude,
oh my goodness
almost
gracious.
identical. We're going to call that good.
Is
24.5. Okay, let's see what we got this one.
Might be a tick heavier.
Okay. If
oh, what do you think this one's gonna weigh?
guess this, drum roll.
No way.
Stop it.
Oh,
no.
23.
23.5. So we got to add a pound, maybe.
Pound on that one.
Yep.
And then let's just see what this one is.
Okay.
Last one, last guess.
What do we got here? Get that in there. That one's, these two are actually almost identical. These last two bins are the same, and these two are the same.
A half pound out of this, a half pound out of this.
Correct. So we're just going to leave this on the scale here, guys, because Kelly's the genius, and I'll let Kyle know. Yep.
Too much.
Nope, that's it. 24.5 is what we want.
No, because
we're taking
these are
half
going to
a
go down
pound
to
out.
24.
Oh, yeah. Math ain't mathin'. Okay. Money. Well,
24.
yep. Okay, what do we got here?
Perfect. Right
That's
there.
money. So you guys can see right now how much more finer ground, and this is a little bit of a slower process than the coarse ground too, but you can see the marbling now with the beef that we have in there, which will be nice. Kind of like your grocery store style. All right, guys, so we are done with the mixing the first coarse ground of hamburger and venison. Now it's time to bag. So Kelly did an awesome job pre-labeling these for us right now. So these are just game bags. I got them on Amazon. They're super easy to get. Ziploc bags were great too. Some people vacuum seal. One thing we found that helped, this is what they call these is horns. So if you're doing sausage and stuff, you want to put a horn on here. This is just a Lem brand. Any brand works. Amazon has great options too. We got this at Fleet Farm. So what we essentially do, we do 1.5 pound bags for families of 4. We typically find per meal that's usually pretty good. So we'll just slip the bag on the horn like this.
Just like that.
Yep, super easy.
Super easy. And then we'll fill it, and once we're going, we have a person running the hopper right here filling it, and then we'll kind of know, we guess the first couple we're going to do, and then we'll weigh them. We'll have them at 1.5 pounds, and then the person that's done weighing it hands it to the taper. The taper runs it through our taping machine. Also got that on Amazon. And then they stack it in the bin. And these bins will just slide into our deep freezers or upright freezers, whatever you guys have at home. And then we can just go in and grab 1.5 pounds of meat to start cooking. Let's get started. All right, guys, as you guys saw, man, we had a good haul. We did these in 1.5 pound packs throughout the year, 25. Beef, venison, BV, 1.5 pounds. Let's get stacked up. We're stocked for the winter. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Midwest Family Outdoor Adventures. It felt really good to get all those deer processed and in the freezer, and hopefully you guys got inspired to do your own if you haven't, or maybe learned a few tips and tricks. Remember, you got to do it for the first time, and then it'll start getting better each time after that. If you guys enjoyed the episode today, please help us by hitting the like and subscribe button at the bottom of your screen, and also the little bell notification so that you're made aware when new content is available. And remember, like Tay would say, someday isn't a day of the week, so make sure you grab a gear and get outdoors today.